My name is Yoram Rimoni. I'm representing Qualcomm, and I'm the chair of the UniPro working group for the last 6 months. There are two presentations. I'm going now to present a very short presentation on the roadmap and the achievement of UniPro. If you are going to deep dive, there is another presentation tomorrow morning, just after the plenary meeting. It's a half an hour deep dive of the upper interfaces and the way UniPro works. You are welcome to attend that as well. It could be given by another member of the work group. Okay, so what is the objective of UniPro? The objective is to develop a layered standard. UniPro has 4 layers, as we see, and it runs over a file that defined by another working group. UniPro is provided so far in 2 versions. It's a textual specification and an SDL specification. SDL is a modeling language. The UniPro v1.41, which is now going to enter the voting draft review. Actually, we hope to do it this week and release next month. Will be the last one that will include SDL, and starting the next release, SDL will be obsolete and replaced by just a textual version. Beside the body of the spec itself, we have also a testing suite that includes peaks. For each release, in the last couple of releases, we produce an application note, and we'll go over the roadmap during the presentation. So as I said, UniPro has 4 layers. On top of the file, we have a file adaptation layer that actually hides the entire file, the number of lanes, and everything from what is UniPro. Then we have 3 layers of the protocol itself: a data link, a network layer that today is not being used, and then a transport layer that interfaces between UniPro, provide the interface between the body of UniPro and the application that uses it. On the side, we have a DME, which is used to the configuration and management of the node itself. UniPro has 2 flavors, and combining with the file, it calls UniPort. There's a UniPort D, which uses the D file, the old D file, and the UniPort M, which uses M file. The only changes are in the file adaptation layer. The rest of the protocol is file agnostic and has no notion of which file is being used. So if we look at UniPro, so we have the file coming from the file working group. We try to align our releases with the file releases. So now we are releasing 1.41 aligned with the file 2.0, which is specifying high-speed gear 2, and 1.40 was aligned with the file gear 1. And going forward, we try to maintain that alignment, but it's not necessary to have that. On top of UniPro, we have now 3 different applications. The first one to use UniPro was JEDEC UFS. There was a co-agreement between JEDEC and MIPI Alliance, and UFS 1.0 uses UniPro 1.v0 with M5 1.0, and JEDEC 1.1 is referencing UniPro 1.41 and M5 2.0. The upcoming release of the camera working group, MIPI camera working group, CSI3, is relying also on using UniPro. And now we are working with the display working group for the DSI2. DSI2 has a lot of impact on UniPro 2.0, and they will be released together, hopefully, toward the end of this year. Other applications are also can go and use UniPro. There are none that approached us, but the interface is quite open, can be used by other applications as well. So I mentioned 2 releases, 1.41, second draft review ended last Saturday, and we are now going to go into the voting draft review, hopefully, during the MIPI board meeting this week. Application note is in process, and one thing that I'd like to mention here is we are recommending or strongly recommend for M5 not to implement 1.40 because of interoperability issues and go with 1.41. 1.41 was tested in April of this year. There was and it's going to be announced. Marsha is going to prepare a press announcement for that. So there was a successful interoperability by 3 companies in April using TMPI. TMPI is kind of a vast interface without the M5. And now I'm pleased to announce that in the fall, probably September timeframe, we're going to do another interop based on 1.41, the official release, with the real M5 2.0, and this is open for all MIPI members, not just the member of the working group, but also for implementers. It will be a release spec, so anybody is going to join. It will be announced on the MIPI webpage. It's going to be in Germany, roughly toward the end of September. If you have any question about what is the requirement, and generally you can ask, send an email to me or to the secretary of the working group, Glenn Hambro, and we'll address them and let you know the information ahead of time. But we are going to pretty much announce it in the next coming weeks. The work group is now focused on working on UniPro 2.0, so we've got all the requirements from the 3 applications that I mentioned. We started to scope the effort and started the technical work. As I said, entering first draft review is planned for December of this year. This week we are going to invest most of the work group moving forward, doing massive work on the technical stuff of UniPro 2.0. And as I said, it will be only a text version and without an SDL. Of course, as usual, we'll have the testing suite, and we probably will have an application note as well for 2.0. So just to outline where we stand as far as the roadmap that was changed in the Seoul face-to-face. So UniPro 1.41 will be a success by other UniPro 1.4x if necessary. That will be a maintenance and support for our application. So if we need to do bug fixes or other stuff, we might release other 1.4x releases. None are anticipated at this point, but this is kind of a statement. And then for 1.41, we had the original 1.5 that was discontinued as far as Seoul. That was the networking version. And instead we came from to define V2.0. V2.0 got the requirements where you see from the list that appears on the top of the slide. And we are now in current development of that release. From 2.0, we'll go to 3.0. That is the next major release, and now it's the kitchen sink of all the requirements that we have as far as networking, configuration protocol, supporting multiple function, doing dynamic bandwidth allocation, and other stuff. Not necessarily that V.4 will be one solid release, and we might split it further on to minor releases as we get more solid requirements from our so-called customers, which are the applications. As far as the content of the release, so 1.41, you should be familiar with that. It has the spec, the SDL for all layer, the test suite. It also supports DeFi 1.0 and M5 2.0. And there will be an application node that will be released roughly in July that will supplement the adoption version of the spec. As far as what we have done, we took the V.1.40 that was released last year, cleaned some of the M5 related issues that were found in an interop that was held, and had some minor changes to some other stuff in the TMPI. We fixed the Annex D that specifies how you interact with UniPro, and spend a lot of time on that. That are the two major changes in the spec. The rest of the spec is pretty much as it was in 1.40. Viv 2.0, so the two main features there, we are going to increase the number of lanes beyond 4. This is mainly to support high throughput requirements. And then we are going to introduce a new traffic class, TC2. TC2 will allow sending what we call unreliable data. Yes, you. That means that you can send data and that will not be acknowledged by the other end. And just you send on the link, either it being received or not. You don't care about it, and you continue sending it. It will be backward compatible with v1.41, and the spec release will include the textual spec, the test suite, support for D5 and M5 as we have today. Given the spec release date of December this year, there won't be any new M5 release by that. So we still reference 2.0. When M5 3.0 will be released, currently expected toward 1 year from today, we'll spin the spec and create a 2.1 probably, but there's no commitment yet, and we are still waiting to see when we are going to release and when M5 will release their spec. 3.0, as I mentioned, it's now replacing the 1.5 that was out there. Contains all the networking and other stuff that we collectively gather together into one release that now contains all the backlog items that are not in 2.0. And tentatively, we going to release there two versions of the spec, one for an endpoint and one for a switch, and potentially addressing also security. Again, this is just very rough, high-level plans that are tentatively for 2013-2014 timeframe, given that there will be strong requirements to go that direction by the other working group that we are working together with, and also by JDEC. That's it.